Hi guys, so I'm coming to you today to talk about spring cleaning. It's March, so the spring is always a good time to remind yourself that now is when you want to do some spring cleaning inside, not only just in your house or your yard, but also inside your body. So a lot of times people, the November, December, you overindulge. Sometimes October, November, December, you overindulge. And then hopefully in January, you get back on it. You're eating healthy, you're moving more, you're super motivated. And then you do that January, February, and then typically things start to wane on you a little bit. So this kind of gives you a re-energized feeling to continue working on your health. And so I also have people in the beginning of the year, because spring cleaning, a lot of people are programmed to, now's the time to do a cleanse. Usually fall and spring, people are thinking about those kinds of things and ask what I would recommend. So there are several things that I'd recommend, but it just depends on you and your health and what you're looking for and the issues that you have. So I was going to go through a few things that I would recommend. Let's see. So the first one is Chelax. Chelax is a chelator. It's an oral chelator. Some people are familiar with IV chelation, where they do an IV and they pump it directly into your blood. It binds to toxins and heavy metals, and then you eliminate them. So if you are in sort of a mercury toxicity stage, you overdid it with fish, or you had an exposure and it's sort of a life-threatening level of toxicity, then for sure I think to do IV chelation is great. But for the everyday person, it's a little rough. It's hard on your kidneys. I would rather to do a chelation that is a little milder, that goes a little slower, that's not hard on your body. And that's why I like to do the oral chelation, which is just capsules that you take. And so what this will do is when you take it every day, it goes in and it finds the toxins, it pulls them, binds them up, and gets them going out through your urine and stool so that you can eliminate them. I always recommend the Chelax for people that have a lot of exposure. So if you eat fish every single day, and I've had people come in to me as patients, and I always ask about their food regimens, and I have people that say they literally eat canned tuna 4 or 5 days a week, every week, 365. It's their go-to lunch. It's quick, it's easy, it's protein, which yes, it is, but it's also, generally speaking, very high in mercury and other toxins. So because it's tuna is a little bit larger of a fish, so it accumulates quite a bit. So it can be a little risky, which is why they tell pregnant women don't eat tuna while you're pregnant, because the baby will absorb that mercury and then it can interfere with neural development. Because mercury, if you remember like the Mad Hatter situation, they used mercury, and mercury can make you a little hoo-hoo, so you want to get that out. You don't want it messing with brain function, so you'll start getting forgetfulness, and you can get a little bit of tremors. So you want to get that out. You don't want that building up in your system, so this is a good way to do it. So if that's you, where you're eating a lot of fish, especially tuna every week, a lot of people are really into sushi and they're having it 3 or 4 days a week, and that toxicity level can build up in your system. And so I recommend if you do once a year and you pull it out and just cleanse yourself and start fresh, it'll serve you well and it'll serve your brain well. Also, if you are in an industry that you're around toxic chemicals, like I would say if you're in an automotive industry, if you're in the air, like airplanes, if you're like mechanics, or you're somehow work at the airport, or if you are a pilot or a flight attendant, you are exposed to such a high level of toxins, it really would do you well to at least once a year to cleanse that out. Or if you're working, like I said, like mechanics, like auto or something, where you're around exhaust and you're around solvents and things, maybe lawn workers that are around that gas blower. I mean, I drive by and they're using those gas powered blowers and the fumes are horrible. I can't imagine that if you were exposed to that all day, every day. So those are people that maybe would want to do the Chelax to do the binding of the chemicals and get them out. So The other cleanse that I like is called Xenoprotects. It's more of an estrogen binding. Men can take it, but primarily I have women on this when your estrogen gets a little bit too high, especially compared to progesterone levels. You can have irritability, you can have regularity problems with your cycle, you can have PMS really badly, you can have breast tenderness, and all of that is just you have too many estrogens in your system and they're not being cleared out like they should be, or maybe the progesterone is a little low and the estrogens are a little high. So this binds up estrogens. It pulls them, binds them, and carries it out just like the Helix does for the toxins. So I like that if you have battles with PMS, or if you have battles with perimenopausal symptoms, that's something good to try to clear out all of those old estrogens that might be wreaking havoc in your system. And another one that I like, this is actually, the first two are more Western herbal formulas. This one is actually an Ayurvedic. It's called Liver Care. I have had such good success with this particular formula. One, if you get labs back where the liver enzymes are elevated, this is perfect. Usually within 30 to 60 days, if we retest the blood, the liver enzymes are well within normal range when you do this. It's very simple. I usually recommend, depending on the person, but generally speaking, it's only 3 a day, and you can take them all at the same time if that's the easiest way for you. But your liver is filtering all the toxins that you encounter. It's filtering all of the old hormones that need to come out of circulation. There's lots and lots of functions of the liver. And when you're exposed to environmental toxins, when you have hormonal imbalance, when your diet isn't on point, because what most people don't realize is when they think about their sugar intake, they're thinking about glucose and being a diabetic, and what is my glucose or my blood sugar? Is it elevated? Am I insulin intolerant or insensitive? So the flip side of that is part of sugar is fructose, and a lot of high fructose corn syrup is in processed foods. If you do a lot of agave, which is a processed, I'm not a huge agave fan. I've seen people that do a lot of agave thinking, oh, well, it's not going to affect my blood sugar, but it's highly processed and it's very similar to high fructose corn syrup. And that fructose gets processed by the liver. And so if you're eating fast food and candy bars and processed foods and prepared meals, and then you have exposure to environmental toxins, the liver is like, hold on, Jack. It's like 8 lanes of a freeway coming down to 1, and you just gets backed up. And then that's when the liver starts to enlarge, and you can get a fatty liver, because the liver will turn a lot of these sugars into fatty acids, and you get into health issues. So you don't have to have elevated liver enzymes to know that your liver is a little overworked and overstressed and enlarged and getting fatty. So this is something that's great for once a year, but if ever your labs come back with elevated liver enzymes, I always recommend this. So I just have people do this depending on the situation, anyway from 30 to 90 days. Like I said, if the liver enzymes are already starting to get elevated, then probably more like 90 days to get it cleaned out and functioning, and then sort of feed it and get it really strong before you go off of it. So that is another option for you. I have people say, well, can I just do all of them? You don't want to do 3 things at once, people. Just take a step back and see which one fits you perfectly now in the moment, what you're most concerned about, then do that one. And when you're finished with that, give your body a little bit of a break to sort of find out what that new normal is, and then you can do another one, and so on. So and then there's the last one. Some people don't want to do herbals, and some people don't want to do capsules, although you can open these up and put them in water and drink them, or put them in a little bit of juice. But this is a homeopathic. It's called Drainage, and it is an old formula that they're starting to produce for Zymogen. And it's a homeopathic that helps to clear out and improve the function of like the liver and the kidneys, which are your main detox organs. And so some people would rather do a homeopathic than do an herbal. So I have that available as well. Again, like once a year, just to get that going. And sometimes when your supplement regimen isn't working like you'd like it to do, if you do this, then everything seems to work a little bit better, and you start getting better results from some of the formulas that you're taking. So that might be an option for you too. And then during the year, there are things that you can do. One is, I always encourage people, it's always nice to have green and life in your home. So if you get yourself a little planter and you grow cilantro, which is coriander, when you get the seeds, so grow a little bit of cilantro so that you can snip it every day and put a little bit in your smoothies, or sprinkle it on top of your salad, or sprinkle it on top of your vegetables after you plate your food. Cilantro is very good at binding toxins and heavy metals in your body and helping to eliminate them. So that's something that you can do every day that's mild. Like if you have mercury toxicity, cilantro is not going to be strong enough or work quick enough to save you. So you want something a little bit more advanced. But to do something like that every day, or most days of the week, where you're putting in some fresh cilantro every day on something or in something, is going to serve you well. The other thing that you can do is if you do something like chlorella, these little chlorella tabs. Chlorella is it's vegan. It's an algae, and it's very alkalizing to the system. It's super nutrient dense. It's full of protein and alkalizing minerals. It's full of the things that we're missing in our diet because they're missing in our soil a lot of the time. So, but chlorella also is like cilantro, and that when you take it, it will very mildly go in, bind up the toxins and heavy metals that are in your system so that you can eliminate them. A lot of times I have people switch on and off with the chlorella because I'm not a huge multivitamin fan. They're mostly synthetic vitamin isolates. You take too many of them, they tax the liver because it's not how nutrition was meant to be taken in. So the liver ends up processing that. And so I prefer to do whole food nutrition, so adding superfoods to your regular diet, adding the chlorella, which is really nutrient dense, is a great thing to do. Like, every other month, do a bag of chlorella as your multi. It's a great switch up. It starts to detox you a little bit, keeps you clean throughout the year. So those are some of the options. And I have all of these in the clinic. You can email me, you can call me, I can send them to you, or you can pick them up. If you have any questions, you can write a question below and make sure that you like and share the video. And let me know if there's a video that you want me to do, something you're curious about. I will try to put a video together for you. But in the meantime, just like and share the video, give me comments, give me feedback so I know if this is the stuff that you're looking for. Until next time, stay well.